everyone, it's Jamie here. So I didn't mention in my last video, but people commented on it. Yes, I have Marilyn Monroe behind me, and I have Moses over there. I got those off of Facebook Marketplace, and I'm so excited to use them for photo props. Anyway, today's video is going to be for the newly diagnosed appendix cancer patients. You're probably scared, you're probably freaking out. You don't know much about your disease, and honestly, your doctors probably don't either because it's pretty rare. So I just wanted to point you in the right directions, and these are things that helped me. So the first thing that was most important to me, and I think this is where you should start, is finding support. And why I think you should start here is because if you aren't speaking to anybody that's in your same situation, you're scared and you're not really going to learn about it. So if you find a good support group, you can speak to others that have walked the path before you. So for appendix cancer patients, my favorite group is the ACPMP Appendix Cancer Support Group on Facebook. If you do not have Facebook, it is worth it to join just for this group. This group has the most educated people in it, the most information, and the best support that I have found. There are other groups, but they just do not compare to this one. So something you need to know about this group is it's getting pretty big. So you will see a lot of posts with people trying to figure out what causes this disease, how to cure this disease. Just be really careful about things in there and leave it to your specialist when you find one to tell you what is best for you. I'd be really careful about trying any strange meds or supplements that have not been approved for you. Another thing that you're going to hear a lot in this group is people are going to be all up on your posts preaching for you to find an appendix cancer specialist, and there's reasons for this. Nobody's going to know how to treat you than an appendix cancer specialist, and that is a surgical oncologist appendix cancer specialist. Even if you do not need surgery or do not want surgery, they are the specialists in this disease. They have seen it more than anyone else. So that's number one. I highly recommend that group. You may see a lot of scary stuff in this group because it is cancer that we're dealing with, and people are going to go to this group rather than anywhere else to ask questions or share their struggles. So it may be scary for you in the beginning, and you may need to step away for a little bit. That's understandable, but also keep in mind that this will help you learn about your disease and what could possibly happen to you and how to mentally prepare for it. Most people that are doing well are not going to be hanging out in support groups. They're off living their lives, and there are many of them. They are off living their lives. I know a few that have completely left the group because they're doing so well and they just don't want to see the negative stuff anymore. So I and a few other people occasionally try to post something really positive in there just so you can see that, hey, people are living their lives and there is some good when you get through this, or even while you're going through it. It can be good. You can make it good for some of us. So anyway, we will know if you do not have an appendix cancer specialist by something that you say. And when people say, find a specialist, and they keep saying that on your posts, they're really concerned about you. That's our way of telling you that we're worried for you because you shouldn't be saying those things that are making us say that to you. So definitely do your research and find a specialist and listen to those that are preaching that. I know it can be annoying. Find a specialist, but it's really for your best interest. Now, another place is the PMP Pals Network on Facebook and pmppals.net. These are operated by the same people. They have resources for education and to find a specialist, and they also do what they call Hope Zoom meetings every week. So every Saturday, we do Hope Zoom calls, and once a month, they do a physician presentation with an actual doctor, so you can learn something new and different about the disease or a possible treatment. And then for the other 3 weeks of the month, they do what they call our roundtables, and this is where we get to talk to each other and just hang out, and they usually last 2 to 3 hours, or as long as we want them to. The ones that I have been in have been about 3 hours. It's important for you to know that you can join late, you can leave anytime you want. You do not have to have your mic or cam on. So if you're shy, you do not need to show yourself or speak. Just know that they may call on you just to check in on you and give you the opportunity to talk. If you do not want to answer, you can ignore it. That's okay. I do like to talk. I don't always have my cam on because I don't feel like it, but sometimes I do have my cam on. I always talk when they call on me because I like to contribute. So the other support group on Facebook that I like is called Cancer Warriors. This is created by a woman named Dawn. I met her in another support group that was not a private group. If you are a private person and you do not want people to see everything that you could possibly say in a support group, you want a private support group. So this is how I met her. We were in a support group that was not private. It got pretty big and a lot of people were complaining that it was not private and the moderators would not make it private. So Dawn created this group as a private group for us. So it's pretty small right now. I'm sure it will grow over time, but I just love it because Dawn is a bright light. I can see her all the way from Oregon. I love her attitude and positivity and strength. So it's a really great group. And I recommend that just as a general support group. It is not an appendix cancer group, but it is a cancer support group. So the next step that I feel is important is for you to educate yourself. The appendix cancer support group will help you with that. And the links that I mentioned before, I will share them down below. And knowledge is power. Why is it power? Because you need to know what's happening to you. You need to know if a doctor that is not a specialist is going to put you through something that may not be beneficial for you, may not help you at all, may make things worse. You need to know who you're talking to and the plans for yourself. You need to know what is best for you. And you're only going to know that if you educate yourself. This is a different cancer. It's a completely different beast. Sorry to use that word, but that's the word that I use. And you really have to educate yourself because most doctors do not know anything about it. And some doctors will admit that they know nothing about it, and some will lie and say that they're specialists and put you through things that are just not right. So you need to know when a doctor is not a specialist and they say they are, what's best for you. Also, in this time, we're in a pandemic, it's COVID. Most of us have to go to appointments by ourselves, so you need to advocate for yourself. It's imperative. It's very important. You can't just sit there and not pay attention to what's happening to you. You need to know what's going on with yourself. So I also recommend acpmp.org. This is the official website, as far as I know, for this disease. They have all sorts of tools there to help you find clinical trials, how to educate yourself, questions that you should ask specialists so you know you have a specialist. Being educated in this disease, the doctors really appreciate it. And most doctors, even if they're not specialists, they will appreciate that you've done your own research and you can help educate them. My local doctors have loved that. Like, I'm a new case for them, new kind of disease, and they've been very open to learning about it, and they have gone above and beyond for me to learn about it, and I really appreciate it. This is your treatment. This is your body, and you need to know what's happening, so please do educate yourself. If you know that you have appendix cancer, I do not recommend having anyone cut into you that is not an appendix cancer specialist. It does not matter if they say that this will be okay for you to do, such as like a right hemicolectomy. If you know for a fact that you have appendix cancer at this point, I would only have a surgical oncologist, appendix cancer specialist cut you open. Unless they say it's okay for somebody else to cut you open. Even then, I wouldn't do it. That's just my personal recommendation. Finding a specialist, that's acpmp.org. They have references for you. You can go to under patients and find a specialist. My way that I did it was I just communicated with people in my support group, and that's how I found my specialist. I had feedback right from the patients, and then I researched him and I met him and I was totally happy with him, so I stuck with him. So I do recommend the support group. If you find somebody you want to work with, then go to the support group and ask about that doctor to make sure you can find patients that are with that doctor. What is an appendix cancer specialist? I mentioned this a little bit earlier. It is a surgical oncologist that specializes in appendix cancer, usually in CRS and HIPEC. I know this is all scary to you. Even if you don't plan on having surgery or don't want to have surgery, usually it's recommended that you consult with one of these surgical oncologists and have them look over your imaging and your labs and everything, just to keep an eye on you and to create a treatment plan. That's where I would start. So build your team. This is the next important step. You're going to need a primary, you're going to need a local or medical oncologist. If you're going to need to do chemo or labs, imaging locally to home, then you will need a local oncologist. Mine communicates everything to my specialist that is over 800 miles away. And then you also need your surgical oncologist, appendix cancer specialist. Now, these people, it's really important that they do not have ego walls up. They need to communicate with each other. My primary, I don't work with her very much unless it's something minor like a vaccine. I usually work mainly with my local medical oncologist. I bug him about everything, and he relays everything to my specialist. So every set of labs that I have done, every set of imaging that I have done, he relays them over to my specialist. They talk about it, and then they get back to me and tell me, this is what we feel is best for you going forward. And I know that they communicate with each other because my local oncologist tells me that he spoke to my specialist. And then shortly after, my specialist will send me a message, either himself or through his nurse, telling me that they have communicated and that they agree on what I was told they agree on, and that that's what I should do going forward. So it's really nice to have a team that communicates. Some people do not have that. And if you do not have that and you are able to, I recommend that you fire your bad doctors. Yes, you could fire them and find better doctors. It's really important. You need people on your team with faith in you and helping you, and hopes, like if you have hope that you're going to make it, they need to hope that you're going to make it as well, at least treat you that way. So other things to know. I recommend that you bring your phone or a recorder to every appointment and do voice memos and record every appointment. I always start recording when I go into the room, and I ask as soon as my doctor comes in, is it okay if I record this? And they always say yes. I have never had a doctor tell me no. If a doctor tells you no, I would want to know why you can't record your own appointment, especially if you're in there by yourself during this pandemic, because this is really stressful for a patient to go through, and it's really hard for you to remember everything. And writing notes just distracts you. It just takes you away from the appointment. So I don't recommend writing notes. I recommend recording the appointment and being there in the moment with your doctor so you can have the conversations and focus on that conversation. And then you can re-listen to your appointment over and over again as many times as you need to get all the information out of it, and take notes from that if you want to take notes. So that's really important to me. A lot of patients do that, and you may not be aware of it. So I do recommend that you do that. So anyway, if there's anything that you want me to talk about, let me know. You could find me in the ACPMP Appendix Cancer Support Group. I'm pretty active in there. There are things that I think you should do to help you get through this, and one of those is to distract yourself a little bit, because you don't want to be crying all the time and just stressing out all the time. You need something to focus on. So what I do is I am very active in my support group most of the time. I've been kind of busy lately, but I help others. I manage a file in there that's an organized worldwide list of members that want to be in there. It's organized by location. I do these videos, and I'm writing a book. So, in the beginning I had dreams of, rescuing dogs and training dogs that were going to be put down, but I've already rescued one. She's back there. I don't know how to use this camera. There she is. That's Maggie. I rescued her, and she was a bait fighting dog, and she's, you know, my hands are pretty full with her, so I can't really bring other dogs around. I haven't had time to train her to be around other dogs. So that was my original dream. That's what got me through all this. I was like, all I want to do is save dogs, and I've saved a dog, and I'm still saving her every day. So that's what I can do right now. My dreams have changed from rescuing dogs to rescuing appliances. So I'm also in appliance repair school online. So just find something to focus on. You need hopes for your future, you need plans for your future, and you need support, and you need a team. So if there's anything you need me to talk about, any questions you have, you can contact me, and the links will be down below for you. Thank you. Have a good one.